Alrighty then, Successful Indie Author 5-Minute Focus, episode 588, Chicken and the Egg, a Parable. Let's look over there, Stanley. He's all snoozed up. Alright. Chicken and the egg, the parable is, what comes first? Do we know? And why? Why is it important? Well, when it comes to your newsletter and building a mailing list, do you do it before you have the book or after you have the book? Well, you can do it before, but just like pushing a rope uphill, you can do it, but is it worth the value of your time? It's a lot harder to sell people on reading my book that I have a book if you don't have a book. So your whole effort is then focused at building a list and selling people on a promise. Selling people on a promise is hard, and folks are skeptical nowadays. So it's better if you entice them with, hey, here's the first chapter of the book that is done, that it's going through the editing process right now, whatever sale. It's a lot easier to make that conviction for people, make that connection if you have a book. How many people say they're going to write a book and then don't? That's your competition if you're trying to sell people to join your newsletter before you actually have your book. So, having a representative sampling of your writing is important because that's what people are buying into. Not the promise, but that promise based on what they see, not the promise based on what you say, because you're a writer. So saying things isn't as important as actually writing them down for other people to read. So selling the promise of a novel, not so much. So I would advise a compromise, as in you get the newsletter, the technical details of your newsletter set up ahead of time before you publish your first book, before you publish your first story, so you can start capturing those names the second you do publish. And you do a little bit of machination before you publish, because there is some stuff for the people to read, for them to see that, yes, I like this author, yes, I like where this story is going, or no, I don't. You want to call out the people with no, I don't, because you don't want that high unsubscribe rate at the end. You don't want people on your list who aren't going to like it. You want people who are there because they like your stuff. So you got to have your stuff, but you got to have a place to catch them. So you got to set up your newsletter before you publish. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want, but it's maybe better to set it up before you publish, just so you can start capturing when people said, hey, I love this story. When's the next one coming out? Well, join my newsletter and you'll find out. You'll stay with me along the journey as we get this next book written. So you do that technical part. And if you have a short story or something like that, once again, that goes to a representative sampling to build your newsletter. Sure, you do that whenever you have it, especially if it's a good representative sampling of your writing. And this is the most important part. I burned 3 valuable years of my list building time using a story that had nothing to do with any other stories, just because I had it, it was available. So let me put this out there. No, don't do it that way. A good and the absolute best representative sampling of your writing that you can provide to people to show them, yes, this is what you're going to get more of if you sign up and see my stuff. So that's what you're doing. It's the promise, but it's a promise based on something that is tangible. There you go. Chicken or the egg. Peace, fellow humans.